Welcome to section G on function notation. First thing that we're going to review is how to find f of a number or g of a number depending upon what our function is. So whenever we have a specific value of x given, so for instance if I want to find f of 3, that means you're going to replace the x in f of x with 3 on both sides of your equation. Then the result that it's going to give you is f of 3 equals a number. Remember, that does not mean f times 3. What it means is that f of an x value equals the y value. So whenever we give an answer in that way, when x and y are numbers, that tells us a point on the graph. All right, so let's do example 1. If f of x equals x squared plus 2x, find f of 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace 5, or rather I'm going to replace x with 5 on both sides of the equation. And then that's going to give me f of 5 equals 25 plus 10. So f of 5 equals 35 is our final answer. In B, we have g of x equals negative x squared plus x. We're going to find g of negative 3. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to recognize that negative x squared means negative 1 times x squared. So whatever x is going to be squared, and then plus that x value. All right, now let's replace the x's with negative 3. And when we're evaluating this one, you have to be super careful. We have to follow order of operations. You have to do the squaring on the negative 3 first, and then multiply it by negative 1. So that's going to give us positive 9 times negative 1 is negative 9, plus negative 3. So g of negative 3 is negative 12. In C, we have h of x is equal to 3x minus 2. We're finding h of 7/3. So we're going to replace all the x's with 7/3. And of course, 3 times 7/3 is 7. So h of 7/3 will turn out to be 5. And last one, p of x is equal to 5x over x minus 3. We're going to replace all the x's on both sides of the equation with the number 3. So p of 3 equals 5 times 3 over 3 minus 3. And we get 15 over 0. And so what that means is p of 3 is undefined since you cannot divide by 0. Division by 0 is undefined. All right, try A below on your own. You should have gotten f of negative 2 equals 5. Did you remember that you're supposed to square before you subtract? So we've got to actually square the negative 2 first, that's positive 4, and then subtract that result. Don't be tempted to change minus a negative to a plus because there's more going on there. They're squaring first. All right, try B on your very own. All right, you should have g of 8 equals 10. Important to keep in mind the grouping that has to do with that square root. Notice that it's over x plus 1, but not over the plus 7. So that means we need to do the inside of the grouping, 8 plus 1 first, and then take the square root of that, and then finally add 7 afterward. All right, with that in mind, try C. All right, there's our answer for C. h of 6 equals 5 plus 2i. We got an imaginary number because we're taking the square root of a negative there. Remember that it's the standard way to express a non-real number in a plus bi form. That is, the real part is first, and then the imaginary part comes afterward. They're the same, but that's the standard way to write it. All right, now try D. For D, the result should be p of 7 equals 0. Remember that 0 divided by a number is 0, provided that number is non-zero. Can't divide by 0, that is to say the bottom of a fraction cannot be 0. However, when you have the top of a fraction equal to 0, you need to go ahead and simplify that division. 0 divided by 8 is 0. That's it for that section.